Hello and welcome on Watches TV, and today we're in for a prime time focus a little bit on business, of course, because a lot has happened over the last few weeks here in Switzerland, impacting quite profoundly the industry. Here with our good friend Mr. Olivier Muller from Lux Consult, and I guess you guys know the dude because he's been on the show already a few times and a real expert when it comes to business figures. But first of all, thank you for being here.
Thank you for having me.
Great. And I just wanted to, in a certain way, apologize for the content production that we've published over the last few weeks, because indeed, some of you guys have mentioned it, that we didn't publish too much, and it's for a good reason. We've been extremely occupied with our Horopedia project. That's the foundation that we launched a bit more than two years ago, presided by Mr. Philippe Dufour, focused on everything that's got to do with know-how, watchmaking know-how, where we cover the entire watchmaking ecosystem besides brands. And I have to say that our encyclopedic work is working quite nicely. We're having already tens of thousands of visits per month without any promotion, showing that, it's quite impressive, showing that there is a need for this. This is a mission that is going to, of course, that we will continue. It's like a kind of a never-ending story. But we're working on a complementary project, meaning doing kind of the physical version of our encyclopedia and working on some kind of, it's not a museum, it's called la Maison des Arts et de la Culture Horlogère, the MAC, but I'll get back onto this matter a little bit later, because we need as much support as possible to make this happen. And we're really talking short term, because hopefully we'll be able to open this house in 2026, by the end of the first semester. It's a massive project, and it's taken us a lot of effort and commitment to make it the way it stands today. But like I said, I will get back onto this one. I think it's a meaningful mission. It's purposeful. It's a tool for the industry. It's a tool for students. It's a tool for the general public. And we're setting the bar extremely high, and hopefully, like I said, we'll be able to make it happen in the very short term.
Cool. Yeah. Good news.
Yeah, absolutely. But like I said, it's big, it's ambitious, but we have a team of fantastic people around us working on the project, and we really want to do something that will mark basically the industry. It may sound a little bit pretentious or whatsoever, but we really set the bar quite high with this one. So more details to come soon. But again, if you want to check already what's existing on Horopedia, it's simply horopedia.org. And I promise you, there are already hundreds and hundreds of pages available of content. It's a thorough endeavor there. All right, so now let's talk a little bit about business, because there's been a little news happening on our very own National Day on the 1st of August, with those tariffs that have been imposed on Switzerland, and not slightly, but massively. We're the fourth country that has been the largest hit by those tariffs, standing at 39%. Yeah, that's quite high. So, just out of the blue like this, first impression.
Out of the blue, it was a shock, because we all know that beginning of April, on April 2nd, it was this infamous Liberation Day by Mr. Trump, where we had a 31%, which we could have gotten in our face, and then finally we got away with the 10%. No one expected that we would end up with a lot more, which is those 39%. So translated into retail prices, this would mean more or less price increases between 12 and 15 and 14% on the American market. Why? Because it's a tariff, it's punitive tariff, let's call it the right way.
Some people even say extortion.
Wouldn't go that far, but in any case, it's a punitive custom duty, and that increases the price on the import value, which normally is about 1/3 of the retail value because you go through a regional distributor or through your subsidiary, and the transfer price is about 1/3 of the retail price. But of course, the situation is different if you sell directly to retailers, if you have your own retailers, or if you go through wholesale. So the whole situation is very much different for each brand.
I think it's important that we kind of detail this indeed, because it has, it also gives a little bit of room to play in a certain way, depending on the type of structure that you have in place already in the US. Maybe could you explain a little bit the differences then?
Yes. So basically what everyone has done, I think this applies to almost anyone except, of course, for the ultra niche players making maybe a few dozen watches a year. But for everyone else, the rescue, or at least they hope it would be their rescue, was to ship out massively to the US, and I hope that somehow we get to a better negotiation at the end of the story.
And this is something we've seen in terms of export figures.
Absolutely.
Especially during the end of the first quarter and the second quarter of this year.
This could be seen already April, May, June, and now the published July figures, which look a lot better than they really are, because of course we shipped out massively to the US to cope with those custom duties increases. So basically, either you ship out to a end client, which is rather the, let's say, the exception.
Yeah.
And for those people, it could be quite easy to get around those custom duties, because it already happens, from what I'm hearing, is that some people are already paying flight tickets, or they are flying over, or they are inviting their clients to Switzerland to pick up the watch. This applies for very expensive watches only, of course, and for very small quantities. The others, they either have their own retail, and of course, it's just left pocket, right pocket, because in any case, it's you who has to decide how much you're going to absorb and how much you're going to transmit to the end customer. In the case when you go through wholesale, so you have the brand, you have a regional distributor or your own subsidiary, and then you have a third-party retail partner, then you can transmit or forward down the line that increase. But in any case, someone will have to pay. So either the brands accept to reduce their margin and absorb some of those 12 to 14, as I said before, percent increase, or they give everything down to the end customer, which is, of course, which will have an impact. We can take two examples. A Rolex Submariner, which sells now at 9,500 retail US, will it be increased by about $1,000, even a little bit more, 10,500, 600. Is it going to impact the sales? I don't think so at Rolex. I don't think so. We can take the example of Tissot PRX, which would translate into an increase of about $100. But $100 from 700, roughly, $700 to $800 retail price on a PRX automatic watch can be felt a lot harder than for the premium customer from 9,500 to 10,500. But it will impact everyone, that's for sure, or almost everyone. What is going to happen? Probably people will wait to travel somewhere. Mm-hmm. That somewhere could be the Caribbean or Mexico. Mexico has a tremendous momentum since now quite a few years.
Absolutely.
And that's not only the local market, of course, those are also all the tourists are going to those magnificent places in Mexico, and there they can buy and they will take advantage of not paying those new duties.
And so with this, what you were explaining before, whether it's wholesale retailers purchasing the watches on the US market before selling them to the end customer, I mean, that means that the brands here, they can maybe, kind of sell their watches at production costs, for instance, and then that will have less impact on the duties, and meaning that basically the profit margins will be made in the US and not in Switzerland.
That's it, exactly. You have to very carefully consider all those moves. By the way, it's not that simple that all of a sudden you can change that transfer price, because the U.S. customs, as bureaucratic that they became even worse under Mr. Trump. Whatever he promised, now they are really going into the details. They will not admit that all of a sudden your transfer price
would be
changes.
a bit easy.
That would be too easy. The other option that some people are mentioning now is that you could go through your European subsidiary, through Germany, France, Italy, wherever, and then ship it out to the US. So you
and as a reminder, European are they have 15% tariffs.
Yes, 15 instead of 39. I don't see that as simple as it is, because basically all the Swiss watches are printed with Swiss made.
Yeah.
That indicates the origin of the product, and we are very proud of that. So I don't know if the US customs will admit that you transship from A to B and from B to C, so meaning from your European subsidiary to the US to get around those 39. It might work at the beginning. I'm not sure it's going to work in the long term, because they will close that loophole very quickly.
Yeah,
probably.
I can imagine. I also heard that maybe they can kind of not disassemble the watch, but I mean shipping one part and then doing a little bit of assembly in the US also, that could prevent these kinds of tariffs.
That was the case once upon a time in history, about 100 years ago. But you can't do that. You are against the law, the Swiss-made law, because your watch is meant to be cased in Switzerland, and the final control has to happen in Switzerland. So you're against the law, and the US will also use that and saying you are shipping a product which is meant to be Swiss-made, whereas the final assembly is being made in the US. But maybe we'll find a way. Maybe we will have to adapt the Swiss-made law and be a little bit more flexible to get around this problem, and wait these 3.5 years where hopefully we will get rid of Mr. Trump.
That's also another way of looking at it. You mentioned that everybody's going to be hit, and I fully agree with that. Who do you think is going to be hit the hardest? And why?
Yeah, the hardest, the entry and mid-level, because the price elasticity, we are not going into all those economic theories, but the more income you have, the more budget you have for your luxury goods, the higher the price, or the bigger the price elasticity will be. And in this case, I think that the entry-level and mid-level brands will be hit harder, especially those who have to go through, as I said, those structures. Somewhere they will have to adapt the prices, and then it remains to be seen on how much the American client will be ready to absorb. Other people came up with the idea of saying, okay, we have to increase the prices, but let's do it worldwide. That's a good idea, but not such a good idea.
Probably not.
No, probably not. But of course, I can understand the logic behind, which is saying that I want to avoid transshipping, so gray market, and I readapt the prices at a higher level, and I do it globally instead of just increasing the prices in the US, and then you have a disadvantage. And of course, the sooner or the later, some distributors in Europe or in Asia will transship to the US.
Yeah. And for mass production brands such as Omega, Tag Heuer, what do you feel is going to happen to them?
They will be at different levels, they will be massively impacted, and you're coming up with the right names. You could have added Breitling, Breitling, Tag Heuer, Omega, Rolex. For them, the US market is probably the most important market. Even for Omega, which is quite surprising because at Swatch Group, normally they are more China dependent than US dependent. And the last 7-8 years, they had succeeded to diversify geographically and ship more to the US, which is an advantage regarding the downturn of the Chinese market. But now the US market, we don't know what's going to happen. So at the end of the day, same story, the prices will have to be increased, and the brands will have to be very careful on how much they will increase the prices towards the end customers or on the retail prices. We all know that since post-COVID, too many brands have increased too much their products, and that's overall the luxury industry. That's not just the watch industry. You can name them, Gucci, Louis Vuitton, all of them have increased too much. And in the watch industry, some brands, at least it's my personal opinion, have been a little bit too optimistic on how much their pricing power is.
Yeah, and the problem with that, is you can't step down. It's very complicated. But you can, but people will not really accept that.
They won't accept that. But at the same time, they see the same product that over the years has taken 10, 20, 30% for the exact same product, or at least they perceive it as being the same product, and they don't understand that same watch went, let's say, from $5,000 to $6,500. So that's already a problem before all that unlucky story with those punitive trade tariffs from Mr. Trump.
Mm-hmm. And we know that the Swiss production in terms of volume is about 2% of the entire global watch production, but represents more or less 50% of the global turnover of the industry. And at the same time now, I think, what I feel over the last few months, we see more and more projects coming from other countries. Switzerland benefits obviously from this kind of beautiful and qualitative appreciation of their products and so forth. It's a lot got to do with, of course, quality, but also marketing. And we see now more and more endeavors coming from various, not only European countries, but also from other regions. We see the Chinese that are trying to pump up a little bit the perception of their product also, and I think they're improving, to be honest. But is that a threat?
I don't see it as an immediate threat. Mm-hmm. We still have the figures you came up with are exactly the figures. We have even less than 2% of the overall volume. We have more than 50% of the overall value of the worldwide watch market. We are over dominant in the luxury segment. So any watch above wherever you set that point, but more or less above 1,200 or 1,500 US, let's say 1,500 US retail prices, we still capture more than 95% of the worldwide market. So this means that still the Swiss-made label is still very strong. And I'm seeing from my personal experience with customers, because I do develop brands and products, and I see that all of the customers coming for a micro brand you know, those many popping up every week or every day even, they all come up somewhere with the Swiss-made hallmark. So for the time being, it's not an immediate threat. You are rightfully pointing towards the China, with a growing national pride in whatever they do, which is made in China. And I expect the sooner or the later, the first real Chinese luxury watch brand to pop up somewhere. They have the know-how. They have all the know-how to manufacture. We know why.
Yes.
and all of a sudden they will assimilate. They already have. They know what real luxury is. That's why some luxury brands are now struggling in China, because those clients have become more critical towards storytelling, claims, etc., etc. So the sooner or the later, definitely with you, we will see heavier competitors. We're already seeing Grand Seiko from Japan, extraordinary watches, excellent quality. Their storytelling is really focused on Japanese craftsmanship, and this is strong.
Yeah, it's completely legit. I mean,
it's totally legit. It's no way less good than Swiss made, and it remains to be seen how fast we have built up that reputation since 5 centuries, so we are still a little bit ahead, but we shouldn't be arrogant, and we shouldn't believe or trust only because we have a history and a legacy that forever we will be dominating the game.
Yeah. Let's go back to China and a kind of little anecdote that has maybe a big impact on one of the players of the industry. It started with the Swatch brand with an ad campaign that wasn't perceived very well.
And don't mimic it, please.
Yeah, but it was not well perceived, badly interpreted, massive throwback on social media in China. And this has an effect not only on the Swatch brand, but all the brands of the Swatch group.
Absolutely. For me, it's not understandable that at that level of business you do such mistakes. At the same time, to be fair with Swatch, the brand, and Swatch, the group, if you look at the whole campaign, it was in fact one of the visuals with an man or a model of Asian origin who was doing exactly the same thing as another visual with a European, with an American, etc. So it was rather a misstep, but at that level you should question everything when you know how sensitive people are. And when we saw the backlash, I mean 26 million reactions on Weibo, you know, the Chinese whatever you want to call it, WhatsApp or Instagram or whatever, 26 million people writing, this is against our culture, etc. So what I mean is you should be very careful at what humor is, because European humor or even British humor is not French humor, which is not German humor. And so it's even more different between what we think that humor is in North America, in Europe, towards what it is perceived in China. You know, I mean, there are all sorts of examples. We all think that Lost in Translation is a fantastic movie. Personally, I think I adore that movie. But when I talk to my Japanese friends, they see it as an insult to the Japanese culture and the way they are and the way they behave. I can understand that. But that was not a commercial. This was art. At Swatch, we are into commercials, so you have to be very careful.
Yeah, they opened the door to get their head smashed, basically.
Yeah.
Because, like I said, I mean, it not only has an impact on the Swatch brand, but overall, you see that it's this little unfortunate campaign is being kind of instrumentalized in a certain way, and to gives less credibility to the entire spectrum of the Swatch brand, the Swatch group brands. And then ultimately all the other brands. I guess,
Probably there will be collateral negative damages all over the place, because we all know that China, as a fantastic country it is, it's maybe not the most tolerant country towards what is being said and written, especially in social media. So if you see such a violent and huge campaign on social media, you can probably take the assumption that the government was strongly in favor, that that negative message came over. And then what I would say is, when you know a little bit about Asian culture, you just don't put out a written statement. For me, Mr. Hayek, the chairman of the group, should have come up with a short message and truly expressing his regrets about that, even though there was no bad intention by the Swatch Group. I buy into that story. They didn't mean to provoke anyone, etc. But we are living in 2025 in a country which is very close, etc. So Mr. Hayek should have come up with the CEO of the Swatch brand, and they should have expressed their sincere regrets to the Chinese and Asian people overall.
Let's quickly come back to the U.S. situation. We mentioned indeed that massive stocks have been shipped to the country over the last few months, probably taking out some of the watches that were destined to other countries and refocusing them on the market. So they have stock available probably until the end of the year, I would say. Do you think they're going to increase their prices therefore immediately, or they're going to wait until the beginning of next year?
Now, for the time being, everyone is waiting. Everyone is waiting that finally we get the agreement that we were promised.
Yeah, because that's still a little bit in the air.
It's still in the air. They are still negotiating. What was very unlucky is that the head of the SECO, which is the economic arm of the Swiss Confederation, she came, it's a lady, she came at the Assembly General of the Swiss Watch Federation, and basically she said, don't worry, we're negotiating the best deal ever. UK just signed, but you will see at worst case we are second or third with an excellent deal. And I trust into what she said, and she was totally convinced. So for the time being, everyone is hoping that a better deal will come out. So no one moves. We have the inventories. So what brands probably will do is towards the end of the year, they will start increasing. Some of them will apply the full leverage to on the retail price. Some will try to absorb some of it. So for the time being, everyone is looking at who is moving first and what happens. But of course, the best case scenario would be that finally we would get treated fairly. And as I said to one media, a famous one, I said at the end of the day, Mr. Trump loves Swiss watches. He always, and all his entourage, his whole people around him, his family, all the people in his government are wearing Rolexes. Most of them. Sorry for my buddies at Omega, but Rolex seems to be the brand of the day over there, and so it's even less understandable. We know how he negotiates. We know he needs our gold, because it was also the talk that the gold would get the same duties. But no, they need the gold. So Mr. Trump said, no.
Yeah.
One day after the US Customs said, yes, of course, gold will be part of it. The day after, Mr. Trump said, no. Without saying that they really need that gold.
Yeah, because I mean, people maybe don't know this, but I mean, Switzerland is a huge refiner of gold, probably one of the world leader, actually.
It's the biggest. We have 2/3 of the worldwide volume of precious metals refining.
That's quite significant,
Substantial.
substantial indeed, yeah.
And maybe it's just a little bit of context, 30 seconds, why all this happened, because the commercial balance was so much in favor of Switzerland for merchandise, but not for services. That's what Mr. Trump always forgets to say. But he applied the same game to everyone else. The Swiss should have come up with that point, because with services, the Americans have a strongly in their favor balance. And for merchandise, it's the opposite, because there are the pharmaceuticals and then the gold. And the gold, why? Because some people in the US, you know, the Americans, they love money. They discovered that they could do arbitrage between the two main markets for gold, which is London and which is in the US, Chicago. So they played that arbitrage, and you could earn overnight with 100 million investment, you could earn more or less 10 million instantly. But the gold ingots in Europe are not the same size as those used in the US. In the US, it's 1 kilogram. So that gold needed to be shipped from London to Switzerland, refined into 1 kilo ingots, which then were exported to the US. And that what pushed so strongly the commercial balance in our favor. And why this all happened, that arbitrage and that difference of prices, because the people expecting Mr. Trump to take office were, to say the least, a little bit worried what would happen to the economy. So they started buying massively gold, because gold, as we all know, is seen as something tangible and secure.
Yeah, and it's interesting because this precious metal refining industry in Switzerland is very discreet.
Absolutely.
You don't hear about it, but it's massive. Something we hear more about, obviously, is the pharmaceutical industry, and there you see that they don't have the tariffs applied to their, for the time being at least.
They are being threatened with 250% or even more. But the not so funny story is that the pharmaceutical companies in Switzerland, mainly Novartis and Roche, they both know that, or at least they expected that it would come. And they have massive investment budgets for the US already on the side. Yeah. So when Mr. Trump finally will decide that no taxes will be applied on the pharmaceuticals. Why? Because they will have told him, we are investing, it's more or less the figures, 22 billion and the other ones about 50 billions in the US, and there are still huge investors in the US. We're the 6th biggest investor overall, Switzerland.
Yeah. That wasn't taken too much into consideration.
Not at all.
Yeah. But it's a reality. I mean,
it's
for a
reality.
Small country,
we are creating jobs, we are investing. And what I always said the last few weeks, it's even less understandable for the Swiss watch industry, as there is no watch industry in the US. Sorry, Mr. Tim Cook, but what you're selling as a watch is not a watch. And besides, it's being made in China, at least as much as I know. So that's not the discussion. So there are
a few things.
Yes, there are a few
brands.
new.
Let's be honest.
Of course,
okay. But
there are a few niche players, mainly using Swiss-made movements. By the way, a few ones making their own movements. But overall, let's say we are not competing with a U.S. industry. And as much as Mr. Trump would want it, I think it's going to be difficult to restart the real watch industry in the US.
Years and
so
years
Mr.
and years.
Trump, leave it to us. We do those nice watches that you love wearing and that all your entourage is wearing. We do that, and you do all the rest. You do it so great. Do the rest.
All right. You talked about export figures released in regarding the month of July. So besides the US and China that we evoked, is there anything new, I would say?
No, we are. It's the. I coined the punchline that we are experiencing the perfect storm. there are so many uncertainties around the world. There are so many structural problems that we have to solve as an industry. But overall, let's face it, the situation is, at least for the time being, not catastrophic. But there are no new US and there is no new China. So don't start dreaming about some substitute for those huge markets. So we will have to live with that. We have to work even stronger on other markets. Mexico is doing very well. India is growing. But India, unfortunately, whatever some people say, is not going the new China anytime soon for many different reasons. So yes, the news are not that bad, but of course we could have avoided the 39%, but that was not our decision, unfortunately. I'm seeing a lot of creativity. That's the positive. Let's talk positive.
Perfect, yeah.
I'm seeing a lot of creativity coming up, a lot of brands coming with new proposals, and not only newcomers, also existing major players are coming up with new interesting things. The launch of new products are more often, the time to markets were reduced, etc. So there are also positive things to be said.
Yeah, and I mean, as we've seen over the last few weeks, a lot of colorful solution, playful, fun. It's like people are taking this opportunity to do something a little bit different, it seems. Yeah.
Hopefully they are going to take more risks, because people always say when things get tense, they go back to the blue chips. Overall, it's the truth. I mean, don't let's get washed away by the belief that the newcomers will change the game. The fundamentals of the Swiss watch industry are still based for a large part on the volume by Swatch Group, which is accounting for around 70% of the overall volume of the Swiss watch industry, which is declining since 25 years. Another point. And on the upper end, we have Rolex, Patek, Audemars Piguet, Richard Mille, and then we have another few players still playing their game very well, like Cartier, Vacheron Constantin, Omega, I love Mark, Breitling, Tag Heuer is coming up again.
Yeah.
I see a very positive momentum coming up at Tag Heuer. That's other positive news.
And needed, because I mean
it was needed.
Yeah, it was needed. Talking about India, I'm going to be invited to visit one of the Indian watchmaking player, the Titan Group. And what I find it quite interesting, and which kind of summarizes nicely the fact that indeed, in terms of volumes, we are on the slight decline. I mean, Titan as a brand, they produce more watches than the entire Swiss making watch industry.
Yes.
15 million watches per year.
Yes, but they never succeeded to export their watches. Yeah. It's mainly domestic. Yeah. The quality of the movements that they are producing. Sorry, guys from Titan. I know you are starting a charm promotion, and that you are inviting important people like my friend Mad to visit, and you have and yes, of course, but knowing a little bit those people for reasons I can't talk about here, they are not at all, and I'm very tough on this one. They are not at all at the level of movement making, mechanical movements, like you would find at Swatch Group, Rolex, etc. Yeah. That's really, they are not at that level.
But I don't think they pretend to be at that level either.
You know, I had some friends, journalist friends of yours, who were already in a first trip over there, and they came back and they said, you know, Oliver, it was so extraordinary and we should get concerned about the Indians. Yes, well, they are hard-working people, very smart. But they tried to get into the Swiss watch industry buying a Swiss watch brand. Total, as someone would say, total disaster. They get out with a kick in their butt. So it's a game where you need to master a lot of things. And looking only on the manufacturing side, I think they're still not up there. But I wish them that they succeed. They have all means. Titan is Tata. They are making cars. They are making 1 million of different products. They are very strong, very good, very hard working people, fast learning. But marketing-wise, I don't think they are yet there.
Yeah, well, I think, like you mentioned before, their primary focus is obviously their local market.
Sure.
And
because it's huge.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. And regarding the movement side, if you compare it to China, I think, some Swiss people, Swiss brands, they've outsourced part of things in China and not in India. So
that's true.
Part of this know-how has, the Chinese have a bit more experience, I would say, based on some of the things that were shipped over there. Fortunately, unfortunately, I don't know what to say, but that's kind of a reality. So coming back now, well, not coming back, let's talk about some things happening also on the watchmaking planet. Well, let's focus here in Geneva, because next week will happen the Geneva Watch Days between the 4th and the 7th of September. This event has gained quite a lot of momentum, I would say. The number of brands participating is quite huge. I didn't expect that it would grow that much, especially, we do have Watches and Wonder already and things like that, so why do you need to have not a redundancy of things, because it's not the same, of course, but it shows that there's a motivation to keep alive the desire, a little bit of the festive aspect also of watchmaking through an event like this.
Yeah, it's a lot less formal than Watches and Wonders. Watches and Wonders is needed. I really think so. And
it's getting better every year.
And it's getting better and bigger.
Yeah.
In my opinion, that's a message for Watches and Wonders. You should open up more quickly. We have a lot of space at Palais Expo. Be less stringent. I understand that you want to keep up the quality standards high. I do understand that. But there are a lot of brands who would deserve to be there. And the more people there are, the more positive the whole mood will be, and we could concentrate a lot and make life easier for everyone, because they wouldn't have to run. It's a small city. It's not a
yeah, but
huge.
Nonetheless, you can lose a lot of time.
You
traffic.
lose time. Okay, you lose time in traffic. But for your information, there is a train from city center to Palais Expo and a 5-minute walk. So I think, I'm not from Geneva, but I can say I think it's the best exhibition infrastructure in the world, because next to the expo you have an airport, you have a train station, you have the highway. What else do you want? All modern, etc. So Watches and Wonders, open up quicker, more people. Don't make it a mammoth event like the infamous Basel World, where they were primarily interested in making as much money as they could. You are a trust, you are a foundation, you don't need that.
That's an important difference.
That's a very important difference. The pillars there are Rolex, Patek, Chopard, and Richemont, and they are pushing towards the right time. That's Watches and Wonders. Now, the Geneva Watch Days, excellent initiative. You brought it up, you said it. I would never have expected it to become such a huge success. I think the main reason for that success is that it's a lot less formal. So people like that. They walk from one place to the other, they bump into each other. It's a little bit complicated because one guy is in this hotel, the other guy in the other one. But again, it's such a small city. Geneva is not Tokyo or London.
I always say it's a village.
Stop complaining. Yes. It's a village. with a very good infrastructure. We'll hope the weather will be good. Excellent initiative. The panels are very good. I don't know if you participate. Yes, you do.
Not this year.
Not this
Not
year.
this year. But we'll be present with Horrorpedia, so don't hesitate to drop by because we'll be able to...
You have to invite this guy. He's local and he stands for a lot of positive initiatives. So please, next year, you invite Watches TV and Mr. Mad again at the Geneva Watch Days. A lot of good panels. I participated last year in a few ones. There are not thousands of people attending, but still it sends out good messages. You meet with the people, and that's the reason of success of all those events. And we can take the Dubai Watch Week, which is...
Oh, that was the initial benchmark.
The Dubai Watch Week is just incredible because everyone expected that, you know, it would become some regional event, etc., and it's becoming the event to attend.
No, people are flying from the US, from Japan, from everywhere to go take place.
Very well organized by the Seddiqui family. Very, very well done, very professionally. And again, there is a lot happening around that event with workshops, with panels, etc. That's the way to go. And any other event, there is this question always that journalists ask me. They say, don't you think that with all those micro events happening all over the place, we're not going to disseminate too much the public? And I always say, no, the more we bring positive momentums, the better. In Argenta in Munich is a very good fair. It needs to increase its standard, its level in watchmaking. They're working on it. I attended now for 2 consecutive years, and I'm seeing that already the quality improved. Vicenza tried. It was not so successful with watches, but in my opinion, they should try again. And all, you know, the Milan Watch Week, etc., all those small micro initiatives are very good.
In September, there's going to be an event in Bangkok also, kind of
cool.
a Bangkok Watch Week.
Yes.
So that's going to be interesting. Hopefully I can attend. That would make me happy.
Yeah. All those events are good because people are on the ground. We all know that the high-end clients, they fly around the world, they can visit the manufacturers in Switzerland, but it's equally important that the brands, the makers, the actors of the whole industry go there. The Fondation de la Haute Horlogerie, FHH, is making a very good work with exhibitions at Argenta, in all those places, etc. And they are doing also positive things.
Absolutely. We'll talk briefly GPHG, but I just wanted to mention that, like I said in the opening sequence of this video, that we haven't published that many videos over the last few weeks. We did something pretty cool on the mechanical counters that are in the Bugatti linked to the watchmaking industry. That was quite fun. Last week we talked about the kind of the 10th anniversary of the Astronomia watch, not in terms of, in terms of the impact it has had, because it was, this watch, like I said in the video that we aired, I found initially I thought it was a little bit gimmicky, a little bit playful, but then I got to understand a little bit better what was inside, and I was quite...
You want a funny anecdote?
Please do. Yeah.
I have a friend called Luca Soprano.
Yes, he was involved.
He's a watchmaker, and I was running the show at a very fine brand, which I still love, which is called Laurent Ferrier.
Yes.
And one day, Luca, who was a friend in my private life, he was a friend of a friend, etc., shows up one day, and he shows me that thing. You know how watchmakers are? They show you one thing, you say, but it's not working. I say, don't worry, it's going to work one day. And he shows me the Astronomia. For Laurent Ferrier, it was not interesting for many reasons, because with Laurent, Michel, and Enrico, we had other plans in terms of products, etc. But I saw that and I was very impressed. And I was even more impressed when Jacob launched that watch. It's extraordinary because it's magic in 3D. And you know, Mr. Jacob himself one day said to my friends at La Fabrique du Temps before it was bought by Louis Vuitton, by LVMH. He said, I want my watches to be like choo-choo train. And they looked at him and they said, this guy is really strange. But what he meant is that, you know, the choo-choo train of his childhood, he wanted that on the wrist, and that's what he achieved with the Astronomia and other watches. You talked about the Bugatti watch before. They're just incredible.
But I think this watch has opened the door to a different approach on watchmaking. And I think, so for that reason, in a certain way, I really see it as a positive, because I mean, it drew a different public into watchmaking, I think.
And for that reason, Jacob & Co. would deserve, since a long time, a prize at GPHG. Choose any price for him, but pay tribute to a guy. You may like or dislike the person, that's not the point, and the disclaimer is I have no business relationship with Jacob & Co., but I'm just here looking at this. I'm a member of the Academy, as you are, but Jacob & Co. would definitely deserve a prize for that precise reason, that they changed, they came up with ideas. Okay, we had Max with MB&F, with that 3D. We had Beat Haldeman before, with that idea of having 3D art, sculptures, etc., etc. We had other people, Louis Moinet also, but Jacob & Co. is just spectacular. It's so funny. Would I buy the watch? No, I can't, unfortunately. I don't have enough money to buy an Astronomia. Jacob, if you want to offer me one, you know where to find me anytime. But yes, you are right. It was really a game changer in terms of what we can do. There are the people doing, you know, the classic, serious watchmaking, and there are people who do funny things, tools. We could even say games, or, you know, however, the choo-choo train, and those are the Jacob & Co.'s.
So in that video, we indeed go back a little bit more on the technical aspect behind this watch, because there's a lot of complexity, especially that Jacob himself wanted the choo-choo trains to be like a TGV now, and not like a very steam engine type of train. So it's going very fast. But to achieve this, I mean, obviously, they had to completely rethink the movement. The principle remains the same, but they had to find a solution. It's quite rather interesting, I would say. But then we have some other videos coming out, and those that we really like to do, like kind of those long follow-up on some projects. And one of them is the restoration of like a clock from the 18th century that was completely destroyed, and involved 8 different workshops, mainly in Switzerland, to restore it. And we did this follow-up on almost a year. It's really cool. It's long, okay, it's like an hour, 1 hour video, but that's nothing for us, indeed. So it's really like kind of a documentary, and I'm really eager to be able to publish this. And then we have some other things also with some kind of long follow-up on projects. This one, well, one of our videos coming up, I mean, we followed this project over almost 3 or 4 years. I mean, it's just quite crazy, and it's pretty cool. So yeah, we're back in the game, and so just trust us to come up with some really cool videos over the next few weeks and months. So yeah, we mentioned GPHG, and as you said, we're both members of the Academy. We had to do our little duty recently and select the watches that would ultimately be pre-selected per category, meaning these 6 watches. But on some of those categories, we had to choose from 20, 30 watches. In some other categories, it was a little bit, I mean, it was like you had to choose 6 out of 8, basically. But one thing I wanted to mention is that for this year, I was kind of surprised in a certain way by the number of watches and brands that sincerely I had never heard of.
It was fully on the same page. I discovered brands I had never heard of, and I I follow Watches TV, I read my friends at Monochrome or wherever. I read every day on watches, and that is still discovered, like you did. Yeah.
And it goes back to the point I was saying before about the fact that you have indeed those other industries, other nationalities that are wanting to be part of the game, basically. And I thought that was kind of a clear example of, indeed, there are some players that are knocking on the door.
Yeah, that's definitely the conclusion that you can draw from the proposal. Now it remains to be seen how many of those new players will be pre-selected and how many will win in the end.
Yeah.
One general remark. Even though the people at GPHG are not my best friends for whatever reasons, I'm a strong ambassador for this prize because it's a very positive hallmark. It's from Geneva. It could be Swiss, but it's called the Geneva Grand Prix. All the Swiss, at least some of the major brands participate. Unfortunately, the biggest ones do not, and that's very sad. But we should get away from, we can improve. They are improving. They bring up new ideas, new initiatives. The exhibition that they do, the tour, when they go around with the pre-selected pieces, is already a very good initiative. It sends out a very positive signal. It's magnificently set up in scenery with Xavier Ditelin, who does all the showcases, etc. So that's very good initiatives. And guys, don't start arguing that because of this or because of that, it's worth nothing. No, it's worth a lot. If you win a GPHG, it's very useful. In 2010, we launched Laurent Ferrier. The same year, we won a prize, and I can tell you it was extremely beneficial for the brand because at the other end of the world, wherever in Beijing, in Tokyo, in Los Angeles, wherever in the world, the GPHG bears the hallmark of Geneva, which is very prestigious. So we should be very careful at handling this. GPHG is important, Poinçon de Genève is important, the COSC is important, the Metas is important. Let's be very careful with all this and not break everything just by, arguing on some details.
Absolutely. So we'll soon know the watches that have been pre-selected by categories, and then, like you mentioned, they will go a little bit on a world tour until the final ceremony happening in beginning of November.
Yes.
Excellent. So I don't know how much time we've talked, but probably too much, but that's okay. You know us. I mean, it's kind of always the same. So it's always a pleasure to have you, Olivier.
Thank you.
And I'm looking forward seeing you again, hopefully with some beautiful news that you will be able to share with us and the audience. But indeed, I mean, the next few months could be a little bit tricky. I mean, the situation is already tricky. We've talked about it for quite a while now, but we'll see what consequences those tariffs will have on the industry and the solutions that are found, and hopefully maybe a new deal on the table.
Yeah, for us, Mr. Trump, we're a small country, small industry. Please be nice with us. We didn't do anything bad to you. Thank you. Thank you for having me.
That is correct. So again, don't hesitate to check out what we're doing on Horrorpedia, horrorpedia.org. I mean, it's, like I said, it's a thorough endeavor, hundreds and hundreds of pages dedicated to watchmaking culture. And we'll come back with our Mac project, something also very meaningful. Thank you for watching. See you real soon. And of course, you know the drill. Viva Watchmaking.
Viva Watchmaking. Thank you.
There you go.